These 4 books helped me save 40% of my income over the past 5 years consistently. And the cool thing is, these are proven to work for anybody that is willing to just be different and not listen to conventional financial advice. Now, most people on the internet are gonna tell you to do things like cut lattes or look for sale items. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not bad stuff to do, but these 4 books are kind of a very different way to look at your money, and also a little bit more extreme, which is why you get better results than pretty much everybody else. It's not just like trendy advice. Now, each of these books are not probably what you're thinking and should actually change the way you think and act about money, which in the long run will lead to crazy results. And this is, kind of like proven. To start off with, we have Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is not that book because I gave it to somebody to borrow and I don't have it, but it literally changed my life. And these books are kind of all different categories. So this one's more of like habit shifting, which if you're trying to get a hold of your finances is incredibly important. Now, the headline of Atomic Habits literally says, tiny changes, remarkable results. And I can tell you that is incredibly true. When I look at any of the things that I have done, I left my day job at 24. I was able to save up my first 100,000 by 25. I've been able to stay in pretty good shape. I've read over 100 books on money. Even the fact that I have a beautiful family and of course been able to save at least 40% of my income for the past 5 years. All of those things come from the tiniest habits stacked over a long period of time. For instance, even when I used to work multiple jobs, I would almost never pay to buy lunch while I was out. I would make it at home, batch cook, and bring it with me. And again, I know we weren't talking about the lattes and all that, but just not spending $12 every day for lunch is $5,000 at the end of the year, $4,300, something like that. That is one tiny habit that when you stack it with 5 other tiny habits makes you have $10,000, left over at the end of the year, while you don't even really realize that you did anything differently. It's just like a small thing done for a long period of time. You do that for 5 years, plus you start investing that money. Now you have $100,000 by doing some very small, simple things over a long period of time. And while I don't want to spend too much time on the tiny things, when I read this book, it made me look at the small things. It made me look at the things that I was doing, both positive and negative, and realize how big those tiny things are. I've consistently gone to the gym, 3 times a week since I was 17 or something like that. And while I'm not in amazing shape, I spend about half an hour 3 times a week going to the gym. And because of that, I've always had a pretty decent physique. I've always been pretty healthy, even though I can put on weight really easily because I also work out and, made healthy habits around eating. I don't struggle with my weight that much anymore. I lost 40 pounds when I started doing this. And it's not because of huge things. It's because I just created systems in my life to just make things kind of run on autopilot. Okay, I'm gonna go 2 to 3 times a week, no more, no less, for a long period of time. It's almost insane to think that you wouldn't be in shape after doing that for 5 to 10 years. It would literally be insane if you stopped, wasting money on 3 to 5 things that you're doing almost every single day, whatever that is, Monster energy drink, buying lottery tickets just for the sake of it, we'll say a latte, or going out to eat, or having a more expensive car than you should have, whatever level it is. If you do cut that out for the next 5 years, your finances will look different. It's insane to think that it wouldn't. And if you can cut out 5 of those things, it'll be drastically different than everybody else around you because you cut out a few little things. And once I realized that, everything shifted. Next up, we have Set for Life by Scott Trench, who was actually nice enough to have me on his podcast after I'd been reading and listening to his stuff for 5 years, which is crazy. And even looking at how that happened, it was because I posted YouTube videos every week for 5 years, and then I made a video on his book. And because of that, he saw it when I was able to get on his podcast. If I had never done any of those small things for the past 5 years, never would have happened. But what I've learned from this is something called the Freedom Runway, which is actually what initially let me leave my job. The first thing I learned from this was the $25,000 rule, or 25 to 100K. So generally the first $25,000 comes through frugal living. And that's exactly what I did. I only ate chicken and rice and beans for years, pretty much. I never traveled, I never went out to dinner. I drove an old car that I paid for cash and never bought clothes besides at thrift stores. And that was for the first $25,000. It took me 4 years to do because I wasn't really making any money. But then after I got that, I was able to start investing. And that is where things really change. And that's where you can actually slow down on the frugal living latte portion of your life, because that should only be short term. And you could actually move to the 25 to 100K range. And how you get from the 25 to $100,000 mark is generally through housing, living at a cheaper place, house hacking, renting out spare rooms, something my brother did. He had a duplex. Not only was he renting the other side out, he Airbnb'd out the 2 other bedrooms he was in, and because of that was able to make significant impacts really fast in his finances. But then you also do that through income generation. That was something that I focused so much on, the frugal living side of my life, because that was the thing that got me my first 25K. This helped me realize that I need to move to the housing and income generation side, which is how you go from 25,000 to like 100,000 plus. And that is by doing stuff like looking for a scalable job, just working on your skills and getting a raise at the one that you have now, working extra. While I was reading this book the first time, I think I had 3 jobs at the exact same time, 1 full-time and a couple that were like whenever I could do them on the side, and also doing the housing part at the same time. It was just like doing everything. But that's how I was able to go with some extreme sacrifice for just a few years to get to that $100,000 mark. And this book was very similar to how I ended up doing it, even though I kind of shifted once I hit that $100,000 mark and kind of went away from this, my own strategies of financial minimalism. It was still super, super helpful. I've done a whole video on this. You can check it out right here. Now, the next book is actually not a book. Don't worry, I'm going to talk about the other books. But also, I learned an insane amount of stuff from other mediums that are not just books, like podcasts, YouTube videos, friends and family, even though a lot of that wasn't actually great, buying courses and seminars and subscriptions, pretty much anything I could do to invest into learning something that an expert who is like at the top of their field is breaking things down and telling me exactly how they got there. Like, that is the most valuable thing that you could possibly learn. Somebody spent 40 years learning something, and then they'll break it down to you in like 10 minutes or an hour. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense not to spend $10 or $100 or $1,000 in order to learn that thing if it will help you for the rest of your life. Like recently, I've been watching a ton of stuff over on MasterClass, who is also the sponsor of this video. My most recent one is on business rebels. It's on branding from the guy who made Liquid Death, which is just water in a can pretty much, but it's like a $1.5 billion company now or something. This is somebody who I would never be able to get access to, but I can learn from him about building my brand and using humor in order to sell and stand out, and even calling water Liquid Death. It's just everything about it drives curiosity, and it's very memorable, and it's really helped my business a lot. I've also learned stuff from the guy who made Atomic Habits, James Clear. There's a bunch of insanely successful people who are on MasterClass that you can learn for like $10 a month billed annually. It's super cheap, and you don't know what one small idea could completely change your life. Now, if you don't know MasterClass, it is a membership to thousands of amazing lessons from experts, literally some of the world's best at what they do. You can discover new tools that can unlock stuff, get newfound skills to improve your life or just make it better. You can learn new things which open up new possibilities that you just wouldn't have otherwise. I've been diving into a lot of like business and wellness stuff personally, but they have things in cooking, writing, business, music, sports, all from 200 plus experts who have actually accomplish things and therefore know what they are talking about. You can check out MasterClass today and turn your professional aspirations into actual achievements. Check the link in the description. You can get started today for 15% off. Honestly, this is such a steal. Just trying to talk to these people would probably cost you like thousands of dollars an hour. It's a no-brainer if you're trying to level up. Next up, we have your money or your life. This was a big shift for me, and something that I feel like also served to a certain point, and then it didn't. But without this, I think I would have gotten stuck. And the idea of this is that while you are still working for money, your money is actually your life. So when I was cleaning office buildings, spending 8 hours to make, like $100, when I went and I bought a pair of jeans for $50, I was giving like a quarter of a day away in order to buy that pair of jeans. So I was literally trading my life for stuff. And when you are exchanging your time for money, that is what you are doing. So if you're not paying attention to where your money's going, you're literally like killing yourself slowly. And that scared the crap out of me. I am not gonna lie. There was points where I was like buying soda every day, and I was wasting money on clothes and doing all this stuff. And then when I read this book, I realized like, what the heck am I doing? I'm going to work, and let's say you work 8 hours, but then you buy lunch, you got gas money in order to get there. Maybe you buy a pizza at night and then you buy something on Amazon. Okay, well now 4 of the hours that you just worked, you just took and you spent on wasted. So you wasted half your day. If you just didn't buy that stuff, you could have taken half the day off. And then the rest of it, maybe you don't really pay all that attention to, or it goes to necessities. But when I started to actually like go through and look at my life, I was like, it was horrifying. Like I just realized that I was literally killing myself. And as long as I continue to trade time for money, money is always going to be this thing that represents my own life. And I have to like shave off a piece of myself in order to pay for stuff, which is crazy. This book also helped me calculate my real hourly wage, which is not just salary divided by hours. It's kind of like what I just talked about with salary minus all of the work-related expenses. So the time it takes to get to and from, the car expenses, any clothes that you have to buy, food that you have to buy, all of that. And let's say like I used to be earning $10 an hour and I would spend money on all that stuff throughout the day. I was really earning like $4 an hour or $5 an hour. It was crazy. So if you actually run through and you take some time and you write out exactly how much it's taking, extra time driving to and from work, all of that type of stuff, and you run the numbers, you might actually be okay taking like a 20, 30, 40% pay cut and working from home because you will save that much more money, which is kind of crazy. Or it just might give you the motivation that like, I cannot stay at this job. I need to do something else because literally I'm not earning what I thought I was earning. Now in this book, there's also this concept of enough. Like at some point you do have enough where everything else that you are striving for is kind of just excess. Once you have your basic needs kind of met, everything else is unnecessary. You don't need to keep chasing and climbing. Now, if you enjoy doing that and that's what you do for fun, like kind of I do now, this is just my hobby. It's what I enjoy doing, is building businesses and building things. Okay, that's fine. But if I'm just doing this in order to buy more stuff and buy more things, like a newer car doesn't really change your life. Flashy, expensive clothes don't really change your life. Certain foods, like once you get to a point where, okay, now you're not buying cheap foods, you can buy healthy, organic, local foods, and you feel better every day, that's improving your life. When it goes like a step past that, it doesn't really matter after that. So there's like this point of diminishing returns where you're gonna have to keep putting in more and more effort, but your life doesn't really change. You don't get much happier. Your life doesn't get a ton easier. So finding that point of enoughness and then being content and trying to enjoy other parts of your life more and relax a little bit more, and realizing that like, okay, this frugal living thing, I don't need to be as extreme as I used to be because I got to this point of enough and now I don't need to make as many sacrifices. And I'm at this point where I don't have to stress about money because I made those sacrifices, and I can take the foot off the gas a little bit. So this whole book really helped me not waste money on stuff that didn't matter, and then also just think differently about my money and my life a little bit. I know I said 4 books, but these ones all kind of taught me similar things. So I'm just gonna go through real quick. By the way, if you don't have time to read all these books, I also use short form a lot to just get the summaries from these, which is super helpful. I'll leave a link down below. You can get like a free trial and discount if you use my link. So you can read a lot of books pretty quickly that way. But the first one, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, really took me from this idea of your money or your life, which is this time is money, to when you can use your creativity and you can buy an asset that pays you money consistently, or you invest, that money is no longer your time because your money is making money. Your life is making more life pretty much. And you start to have more life, literally. So this is the book that kind of got it all started for me. Whether it's true or not, I don't really care. It was the first time I'd heard about assets and liabilities, and how if you can just buy enough assets, things that make you money every single month, your life is yours again. So pretty much you do whatever it takes. You take the advice of all these books, you sacrifice, you do whatever it takes to get as many assets as humanly possible, as quickly as possible. And once you reach a number where now your assets cover a lot of your living expenses, then you can just be free and do whatever you want to do. And if you want to be a little bit more extreme, then maybe you 4-hour work week it, where you find some type of business or that you can create with some tiny habits from Atomic Habits over the next 5 years, and that eventually you can run in 5 hours a week. Like my YouTube channel, I run it in about 5 hours a week to make these videos, and it gives me enough money to support myself. I literally thought this was just a complete scam when I first read it because of the title. And then, because I also read Atomic Habits and I just worked on my own version of this. It's been 7 years or something I've been doing YouTube, and I literally have done what was in this book, and I thought it was a scam. And then I have met like dozens of other people in the past year who've also done it, and not all with YouTube, with like a billion different things. Totally possible. So this was eye-opening for me to not waste money on stuff that doesn't matter, but only take my life, my money, and buy back my life. Buy assets. Or build a business. So life-changing. Speaking of this, if you want to learn how to run a YouTube channel on 5 hours a week, I'm getting ready to launch my next cohort where I teach people exactly how to do this. So far, we've had 2 people leave their day jobs in the past year following this strategy. So my goal is to get to 100 people. So feel free to join the wait list. Next up, we have extreme ownership. If you are like I used to be and not have money and are broke and think the system is kind of rigged and you pay like so much in taxes and it's just kind of a scam out there in college, just like they tricked you into it, it's your fault. Take some ownership. Take some freaking ownership. Almost hit the camera. That's literally the thing that I learned from that book. I didn't have money and it was my fault. It was my decisions. I have access to all the information in the world, all the books in the world, ChatGPT, Google, everything. I could learn anything and I am choosing not to, and therefore lack of knowledge is my own fault. If I'm saying I don't know how to do that, I don't know how to save money, I don't know how to invest, I don't know how to start a business, I don't know how to do anything, you could learn to do it for free. Or you could pay a small amount of money and learn to do it faster. You have complete access to everything. If you're wasting money, those are your habits. If you're not making as much money as you think you should be, it's your fault for not gaining more skills. When I started taking accountability like that, I started to change my behaviors. I got motivation because then instead of saying it's their fault, it's everybody else, if I just blame myself for literally anything happens pretty much, I always assume it is my fault and therefore I can change something in my life. And no longer am I mad at people. I'm not angry at the government. I just literally don't care because I know there are cheat codes to beat the government. Like if you look at like billionaires that don't pay taxes, they're just know how to not pay taxes. So if you think the system is rigged, just don't play the game that the system wants you to play. Just play a different game and beat the system. It's kind of what I've done. It's kind of like what my whole philosophy of life is just if everybody's doing something, just assume that's not the right way to do it or not the best way to do it and do something else. And then you won't end up like these statistics of the average American, which is disgusting because they do what everybody tells you to do. Like if people are telling you, eat this, save your money this way, do this, and that's just what the mainstream is telling you to do, it's probably not a good thing because if you do what everybody else does, you will get what everybody else gets, and what they get is not good. But if you take ownership and control and you say, I can be better, I can be in better shape, I can eat healthier, maybe it's harder for me, maybe I had less advantages, maybe whatever, I can still change it. There's people who've had it way worse than me who've made it. And if you can get to that point, you gain your life back, you gain freedom back. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed this, got something out of it. Drop a like if you did, it really helps the videos out. Also, don't forget to check out MasterClass with the link down below. You can learn a lot of great stuff for very cheap. And if you enjoyed this, I'll see you next week.